Revenue is upping the maximum fee car dealers can charge to $565 to reflect increases in the Consumer Price Index. The original fee of $200 was raised last year to $500 to help pay for updates to the state's aging computer systems. The St. Charles Police Department is searching for a suspicious man who went door to door overnight wearing no clothes or shoes. The naked man is seen on multiple home security cameras. Authorities asked to not show the man's face, but thought someone might recognize several tattoos across his left shoulder and his flat top haircut. The Lindbergh Tunnel will close nightly February 6th through 10th so MoDOT crews can replace the digital message signs. February 6th through 8th, the northbound lanes of the tunnel will close, and then the southbound lanes will close February 9th through 10th. And tickets went on sale for St. Louis City Soccer Club's regular season Thursday morning, and the individual tickets for the first match sold out in 5 minutes. On March 4th, St. Louis City SC will play Charlotte FC. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your first alert forecast. Sunny skies this afternoon, but it's going to be cold. The high only 27. Tonight, mostly clear. We drop to 22, and we'll get a big warm up on Saturday. It's going to be partly cloudy and breezy, but the afternoon high 50 degrees. And for Sunday, sunny skies with a high of 56. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Author, attorney, John O'Connor.
What is frustrating to me, Vic, is the left has ideologies. They don't like to debate things, as you talked about earlier. And then when the press goes along with it, they accept placidly whatever comes out. Biden cooperated when he got caught, or said he cooperated. That's not a defense. Like, okay, I robbed the bank 6 years ago. I'm giving the money back, so that's a defense.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. The latest news.
The clock ticking on government funding.
Consequences for the country are a major economic crash.
The news you need to know.
Republicans and Democrats are blaming each other.
Classified information.
We will not comment.
Why was it okay to raid Mar-a-Lago?
Alec Baldwin.
So you never pulled the trigger.
I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger.
And the place to talk about it.
Limousine liberals are all hypocrites.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans and your community, then join AMVETS. Each year, AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects, ranging from Americanism in our schools to supporting the Special Olympics and Boy Scouts of America. Even if you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
Fox News commentary.
The Real ID requirement deadline has been extended another 2 years, and that's all fine and dandy, but what about voter ID? I'm Tommy Lahren, more next.
If I could be you.
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Your real ID yet, don't sweat it, because the U.S. federal government has once again pushed the deadline and pushed it another 2 years till May of 2025. The deadline for these ID cards has already been pushed with COVID as an excuse, and yet again, the lingering impacts of COVID are to blame for this extension. I think it's a load of BS. We need to maintain a minimum security standard in this country, and proving you are who you say you are is a big part of that. And I've had it with the nonstop and arbitrary roadblocks placed in the way of identification requirements. We need real IDs, we need voter ID, we need to bring national security back as a top priority. It's not that hard. It shouldn't take this long, and the deadline shouldn't keep getting pushed. Wouldn't it be nice if the Department of Homeland Security cared about, I don't know, Homeland Security again? I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can listen to all of my hot takes at foxnewscommentary.com.
Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been
94.1 News Talk STL. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God.
It's gonna be a great Friday too. I'll talk a little bit about this in more detail in about an hour from now when we get into our Friday fun time at the end of the show. But I will be hosting tonight and tomorrow night. Did you just pop your neck?
No, I popped my fingers.
Okay.
I popped my fingers.
I was looking down and I saw your head move and I heard
No.
pop.
The neck would not be that bad, but
Yeah.
my fingers can get pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that sounded like that sounded serious.
Something breaking.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Totally lost my train of thought when I heard pop. I am hosting two shows, 2 nights, tonight and tomorrow night. The Retro Nerds, of course, the guys were in studio here 1 week ago today, playing the music of Sting and Peter Gabriel. It's the Retro Nerds present the music of Sting and Peter Gabriel tonight at the amazing, newly reopened, newly renovated Westport Playhouse. I have been on stage at Westport Playhouse in the past, but not since it went dark for a while, closed down, and then Lenny Mink and his team, we had Lenny on the show earlier this week as well, and his team bought the theater and have renovated it and put this huge 30-foot video screen behind the stage, and I can't wait to see what the theater looks like now, and I can't wait to hear the Retro Nerds because they're always fantastic, playing tonight the music of Sting and Peter Gabriel. So if you're looking for something to do tonight, or even tomorrow night, 2 nights in a row. 1 big show, 2 big nights. Westport Playhouse tonight. I'll be there. I hope to see everybody there as well. If you do come out and you see me, please say hi because I love chatting with people. So I hope to see people out there. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that show when we do our Friday fun time right before we hand things over to Tim and Chris at 3:30 this afternoon. So keep it here for that. Usually on Fridays, Katie and I are joined by the great Gabe Pfeiffer from the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. But Gabe is a little under the weather today. So joining us in the next segment to take Gabe's place this week is the other member of the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, besides Mike Ferguson
other
himself.
guy.
Stell Babes.
He's coming.
Stell, the great Stell. My Stell.
It's yours. He is your
My
Stell.
My Stell is going to be joining us. You guys know Stell because Stell was my co-host and producer the entire time Katie was on maternity leave. So he was a part of this show for 3 months, October, November, and December of last year. And you guys hear Stell now every morning with Gabe Pfeiffer and Mike Ferguson in the morning, and there's been a lot going on in this crazy world. So one member of the morning show goes down, another member of the morning show steps in.
Mm-hmm. We love Stell.
So we'll talk to Stell Babe
Love him.
in just a few minutes and get his thoughts on some of these crazy stories happening around our world. Also, it being Friday means we will get the weekend forecast, the all-important weekend forecast, where there's going to be a big turnaround. It's been crazy cold. It's supposed to get, I think, crazy nice.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be beautiful
over
again.
the weekend. So
Absolutely
I
beautiful.
am very much looking forward to talking to Chief Meteorologist over at Channel 4, Steve Templeton. He'll join us at about 2:45 as he does every Friday to bring us that weekend forecast. All right, let's dive in here. There's a Chinese spy balloon flying over the United States. What the hell is going on? If you're not up on this is the big story of the day for all the right reasons. A Chinese spy balloon is now over the central part of the United States, so us, and will be in United States airspace for, quote, a few days, according to the Pentagon.
That is so scary.
Defense Department spokesman Brigadier General Pat Ryder said just a little bit ago today that the Chinese surveillance balloon hovering over the United States has moved to the central part of the country, but declined to get into specifics about the location. Ryder said that the North American Aerospace Defense Command is closely monitoring the balloon's location and that it is moving eastward across the country. The balloon continues to move eastward and is currently over the center of the continental United States. Again, we currently assess that the balloon does not present a military or physical threat to people on the ground at this time, Ryder said. It'll probably be over the United States for a few days, he added. The balloon is currently flying at about 60,000 feet above sea level, higher than commercial airplanes fly. The National Weather Service in Kansas City, Missouri,
so crazy.
posted photos of a large balloon visible from their office in Pleasant Hill, and the KC Metro appeared to be headed southeast. The balloon appeared to be headed southeast, and they said, quote, "We have confirmed that it is not an NWS weather balloon." NWS Kansas City said. So the National Weather Service in Kansas City said, there's a balloon up there, and it's not ours. So it's clearly the Chinese balloon. That was just a little bit ago. It was in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I literally think it's above us right now. I wonder if we can see it out there.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Ryder was asked repeatedly for more details, but he refused to get into specifics about the balloon's location. He said, quote, "The public certainly has the ability to look up in the sky and see where the balloon is. So it is clearly visible."
Oh my gosh, that's low.
From the ground. Well, it's not low. It's 60,000 feet, but it's a huge balloon, and if there's clear skies, you can see it.
But I would have thought we wouldn't be able to see it at all.
Biden administration has condemned the presence of a Chinese surveillance aircraft in United States airspace. Senior State Department officials have called the incident, quote, "unacceptable." And Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has indefinitely postponed a planned trip to China to meet President Xi Jinping in light of the circumstances. Officials in the State Department and in the Defense Department have said the government is maintaining contact with the People's Republic of China and has, quote, "clearly communicated that the balloon is violating U.S. airspace and international law, and that it is unacceptable." A spokesperson for China's foreign ministry claimed the balloon was a civilian weather aircraft that got knocked off course. But the United States,
we are just a bunch of dumb hicks, aren't we? We're just a bunch of dummies.
So the Chinese government said it was just a guy
chilling,
some guy doing weather, a civilian, a Chinese civilian. First of all, Chinese civilians don't do anything without
permission
from the Chinese government, especially fly a giant weather balloon that's capable of literally circling the world.
Yeah.
And flying at 60,000 feet. A civilian in China does not have that ability.
No way.
So it's not a civilian. It's not a civilian balloon. It's not a weather balloon. They said it was a civilian's that was doing weather tests and the balloon got blown off course.
If you didn't trust China before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened, and the things that were once conspiracy theories about how a global pandemic could happen in Wuhan, and then we find out some things that a bat soup didn't create at a wet market, didn't create this pandemic, and you were more suspicious and you were more afraid of China, and then 2-3 years after a pandemic, we have a Chinese spy balloon making rotations across the world, and you looked at yourself and said, we probably should be doing something about China, then you might be right. And not only, I can't believe this, Mitt Romney made a tweet that is so profound and so amazing in this moment. And he said this, Mitt Romney.
I didn't see this.
"A big Chinese balloon in the sky and millions of Chinese TikTok balloons on your phones. Let's shut this down." And I am like, so we have this Chinese balloon circling the world, and I forgot that TikTok was created in 2020, 2021, also an area where the Chinese are getting your data. This has been 3 years of us being like, what are we doing, and how do we stop the madness? My question is, how do we, though? This is terrifying.
So I have a more pressing question. Do we shoot it down?
I don't know, because right now I see that the only harm, quote unquote, that it's doing is that there's large debris. There's debris that's falling from this balloon. I don't know.
That's not good.
No, it isn't. But I don't know what happens when if we shot it down. That's my fear. I don't know what happens.
If we shoot it down, it could be, in a crazy world, construed as some kind of military action against Chinese property, even though it's in our airspace.
Yeah, now it's
and
here.
Clearly a violation.
In Kansas City.
And I would imagine that they would shoot a balloon down if we sent it over their airspace. I would hope that we would be better than flying a balloon that can be seen by the naked eye, but maybe we're not. I don't know. But yeah, do we shoot it down and say, you're clearly violating the law, you're clearly violating United States sovereignty and international law, and we're taking this thing out?
Yeah,
you know,
like
wait
what's
till
the
it's,
danger? What's
where
the
it's
danger?
over a safe spot where
Yeah.
if it does fall, it won't
cause chaos,
any damage or hurt anybody, you know? Or do you just let it run its course?
I don't know. See, I don't like the idea of letting it run. I don't know. I don't like the idea
What's it
of
doing?
running its course.
What is it getting?
Footage? But of
what?
what? I don't know.
They have Google Earth over there.
That's true.
Right?
They do. No, this is the first time they're using it. This is their version.
Does it have electronics in it? Are they listening? Is it flying right over us right now? If you're listening, hello?
Yeah, what is the point, I guess, is the most pressing question, and what is it capturing?
Hold on. If it's listening, I have a question. Xi Jinping, did Joe Biden and you walk 10,000 miles throughout the Himalayas and get to know each other?
We have
on
to
a
know.
Very close basis. DM me.
Go on,
if you're
brother.
listening, President Xi
Come
Jinping,
on, brother.
Yeah. DM me at Tony Colombo Talk on Twitter. Did you and Joe walk miles and miles along the throughout the Himalayas?
I have a feeling that someone like Jim Carafano or someone like Dakota Wood or someone with like Jim Talent.
Yeah.
All people.
This has got to be a unique
situation. But I am curious to see if they would say we need to shoot this down immediately because this is a national security threat. I mean, that I could see happening, but what happens when you do something like that? What does it, what begins?
Yeah, I've been doing talk radio for almost 20 years now. Been on the radio for over 25 years, and I cannot, and pretty engaged in the news. And I cannot remember anything that would, that's a comparable story to the Chinese are flying a surveillance balloon, and it's literally crossing the entire country.
And I guess to my point, whenever I said we must just be a bunch of dumb hicks, because is the Chinese government, the communist Chinese government, are they just like, we could do this?
Yeah.
We could just get away with this. No one in the United States is going to do anything about it.
They had to know that we would detect it. They knew that we would be able to, we can see it.
But are they like, no one's going to do anything about
be
it?
Picked up on radar. It's a bold ass move.
It is.
It is a bold move. Because it's not. This was clearly not intended to be a secret.
Here's the other question that I have to ask you.
Yes, please.
So because it is a bold ass move, and because they might be looking at us like they're not going to do anything about it, is this a reflection on the administration? Is this something that they're like, under Trump, might not have done it. Under Biden, kind of feel like we have a free pass. We better get it going.
Question. I don't think that China, Russia, or many other countries around the world would have taken particular actions that they've taken in the last 2 years if Donald Trump was in office instead of Joe Biden. And I think this probably is an example of that. And I wonder how a Trump or a Republican, a DeSantis administration would handle this.
A strong administration.
Would it have gotten shot down in California before it even made it all the way across the country? Because it was this morning when I first heard about the story, it was on the West Coast. And it's throughout the day, it's traveled across, and now it's right over us. It was in Kansas City just a little bit earlier. It's just traveling across the country.
I could not
imagine. Would they have shot it down? Would China even have the guts to
I don't know
send
if they
it without
dared.
us? So, yeah, all great questions. All right, there's plenty of other things to talk about today as well, so we are going to do that in just a moment, and we will get Stell Babe's thoughts on the balloon as well. Stell Ponticus from The Morning Show joins us next. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk, STL.
I'm on this lonely road.
Coming out of the White House.
Live and local.
We need to get the message to people who are not being helped by Democrats.
Ron DeSantis showed people the back of his hand.
This is News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo inviting you to join me for a great show coming to Westport Playhouse for 2 consecutive nights, February 3rd and 4th. The Retro Nerds present a tribute to Sting and Peter Gabriel. Support local music and come see a great show at the beautiful, newly reopened Westport Playhouse. Enjoy the music of Sting and Peter Gabriel on both Friday and Saturday night, February 3rd and 4th, brought to you by Amicus Wealth Partners. Get more info and your tickets now at westportplayhouse.com.
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Katie, Chris, and I on Friday helped get you into the weekend with Kira Davis of Red State on her new book, Zach Smith of the Heritage Foundation, and Dr. Aaron Hedlund from the Show Me Institute.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
I'm sitting in a tree, swinging in the breeze. I'm looking at the blue sky, smelling
Man,
so
the weather's getting better.
My pretty little
It's a Perry Woods Friday. It's a big show tonight out at Westport Playhouse that I'll be at. I hope to see everybody else out there as well. And we get to talk to my Stell.
Stell
Babe.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my.
Stell.
My.
We love you, Stell.
Yes, great. Stell Ponticus returns to the Colombo and Katie show. Of course, you can hear Stell now every single day with Mike and Gabe on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning show here at News Talk STL. But Stell was with me for 3 months while Katie was on maternity leave. And I think this is the first time you're back on the show since Katie came back. So it's great to talk with you, buddy. How are you?
Hey, it is the first time, and great to be with you guys. I miss you dearly.
Back at you, buddy.
Stell, I'm so happy that you're awake right now, that you were able to do this with us. I when I texted Stell, he's like, if I'm still awake, then yes, I will join you. I'm like, Stell, love you.
Yeah, that morning show schedule is legit. Mike Ferguson show starts at 5:30 in the morning. Stell, that's got to be an early day for you. I mean, that'd be a rough transition from the Colombo and Katie hours to the Mike Ferguson hours.
It was a pretty radical change, and for me, since we moved out of the city, now I've got to drive 3.5 hours to get to work every day.
We love you, Stell. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Stell, I'm big. I listen to you guys every morning, of course, and I know that you guys talked about this balloon this morning. But now it's just made its way unencumbered across the United States. It was spotted in Kansas City just not very long ago, so it's probably literally really close to us right now. Katie and I just went all in depth on the balloon in the last segment, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I do want to get your thoughts and what you make of this very unprecedented and very bold move by the Chinese government to be flying a surveillance balloon over the United States.
Well, I got to say one thing right now, because I was standing outside a couple minutes ago. This is great balloon watching weather.
It is.
So
we got the perfect day.
Yeah,
for
we
it.
do.
I was outside gazing, and and I saw some planes going by, and I thought, you know what, the balloon's up there too somewhere.
Yeah.
And
you can see it. You can see it from the ground. You can. They were spotting it in Kansas City. People were seeing, and even the Defense Department said that you can see it from the ground. If, it's very difficult. It's a tiny little dot, but you can see it, which is crazy.
When the story broke, Mike and I thought that, we've got to do something here. How in the world did it get in our airspace in the first place?
Yeah.
That was my question, because at that time it was over Montana, and they made the comment about, if we shoot it down now, we may cause some problems on the ground. And we thought, there aren't a whole lot of folks in Montana besides the provinces of Canada that are right above Montana. There aren't any really big cities there. I'm not sure which province is there, if it's Alberta or Saskatchewan or Manitoba. One of those provinces is there. If we shoot it down, okay, fine. I'd say the odds are really good it's going to land in a field somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to land on somebody's house.
Yeah.
We may lose a cow or something.
So Katie asked. Katie asked this question.
Thinking,
let me ask you this, Del. Katie asked this question in the last segment to me. I want to get your thoughts on it. Would the Chinese be doing this if Donald Trump was in office? And if they did, yes or no to that question? And then if they did do it while he was in office, would it have already been shot down by now? Would it already been removed from the sky by now, in your opinion?
Answer to the first question, no. I don't think they would have done it. And number two, if it were a renegade balloon and they gave the excuse, the typical excuse of, oh, no, it's a weather balloon. Yeah, you know what? I majored in meteorology for 2.5 years. I can tell you, I kind of doubt it's a weather
civilian
balloon.
Weather balloon, Stel. A civilian.
Crazy.
They said it was a civilian weather balloon. The civilians in China do not do anything without permission from the government. Certainly, they don't fly a piece of equipment capable of circling the world without the Chinese government knowing. They said it was a civilian weather balloon, which is just very obvious that they are lying about the origin.
No, you're exactly right. And so the answer to your second question is yes, we would have shot it down by now. I definitely think so.
But
if Trump were in office, yeah.
But Stel, whenever you look at a situation like this, because Tony and I were both saying, like, this is the first time something like this has happened in my lifetime. I think in Tony's lifetime. Stel, you might have a different story to tell. But whenever I see a situation like this, is there any possibility at all that China was thinking there's no way this is going to cross into the United States?
No.
Is there any possibility at all that China was like,
no,
we built this for something different, not weather related, but something different, and it just so happened to also go into the U.S.
Supposed to study the whales. In the Pacific Ocean,
something
right?
ridiculous.
Yeah. As though they might say, well, gee, we didn't know the wind would be blowing that way. You know what? Guess what? The winds usually do blow across
the
Pacific. So I'd say the odds are really good, you guys, that you put it up there and you knew that it was going to go over the U.S. So the whole weather balloon thing just caught me off guard. And by the way, and I thought it was a pretty good excuse, though. Katie, you mentioned stuff that had happened maybe when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this just a little bit on the show this morning. There was a U-2 plane, no relation to the band.
Mm-hmm.
It was the U-2 plane that was a spy plane. I think it was in 1960, a U.S. spy plane that was shot down, if I remember correctly, over the Soviet Union. And I think the pilot's name was Gary Powers, if I remember correctly. You can look this up somewhere online. Do a search. I will not use the G word.
We will do a search, Stel.
I refuse to say the G word, but just do an internet
Stel
search.
uses Ask Jeeves when he needs to.
Duck, duck, go.
Or Brave or something like that, yeah. But look it up, and if I remember correctly, the plane was shot down. I was 7 years old, I think, when that happened, so I vaguely remember it. But it was a spy plane, and the Soviet Union shot it down. So that was the first thing that crossed
You're
my
right.
mind.
You're completely right, Stell. U-2 overflights
Yep.
and the capture of Francis Gary Powers in 1960.
Yep.
Okay.
So this has been going on for years. This this surveillance, trying to spy on the countries, and I just find this one to be incredibly brazen. And we'll keep you up to speed on what happens from here on out. The Defense Department did say that they would not say yes or no if the plan was to eventually take this thing out of the sky. So we'll see how this whole thing develops, and obviously we will keep you posted every step of the way.
Because we are your weather, we're your weather balloon station.
You got
so
that right.
That's us.
Here's a great one today. Joe Biden continuing to rewrite history. Joe Biden claimed today that inflation was already here when he got in office, so none of it is his fault. President said,
"Oh my goodness!"
Yes, the president said today that he takes no responsibility for the ongoing inflation crisis in the country, as he highlighted a stronger than expected January jobs report. He did get a gift today from the January jobs report. We'll get to that in a second. He was talking to reporters, and he was asked the question, quote, "Do you take any blame for inflation?" And the president said, no. He said, quote, "Remember what the economy was like when I got here. Jobs were hemorrhaging. Inflation was rising. We weren't manufacturing a damn thing here because the country was closed down, dummy. And that's not part of the quote. We were in a real economic difficulty. That's why I don't take any blame." However, experts at the Heritage Foundation analyzed consumer prices and interest rates and found in their latest report released yesterday that the average American household has lost the equivalent of $7,400 in annual income since Biden's inauguration on January 20th, 2021, because of inflation. The income loss represents an increase of $200 since their last report in September, when the Heritage Foundation found that the average was $7,200 decline in annual income. And just to put it out there flatly, the consumer price index in January of 2021, when President Biden took office, was 1.4%. As of December, it was 6.5% year over year. Despite the ongoing struggle, though, as I mentioned, to control inflation, January did see a surprising comeback in the job market. Employers added over 500,000 jobs in January, which was more than double what was expected. So the president got some cover today, Stell, but he is literally just staring at the American people with those empty eyes and lying, not even about ancient history, about 2 years ago, like we can't remember, saying that inflation was already a problem when he took office, which is just a lie, just a bold-faced
I don't know what kind
lie.
of dream world this guy's living in. He's making up his own historical facts.
Yeah.
The purchasing power, as you mentioned, if you look at overall, the purchasing power for families has gone down now, I believe, for 20 months in a row, the longest streak in decades. I'm stumped by the fact that he can make these statements, and it's as though no one in the mainstream press does any type of fact checking, and we have to rely on folks like News Talk STL and Real America's Voice and Newsmax and other and other sources to make any fact check.
Or just stick with News Talk STL. You don't really need anybody else.
You're right.
Stick with
right.
News Talk STL. Talking to Stell Ponticus, of course, from the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here at News Talk STL. Typically on Fridays, Gabe Pfeiffer from the Morning Show joins us, but Gabe is under the weather today, so Stell Babe is stepping in and helping us out, which we certainly appreciate. We talked about this earlier this week. I don't know if you guys had a chance to really unpack this much in the morning yet, Stell, but earlier this week, strong signals were sent by both Nikki Haley and Tim Scott that they will be entering the 2024 presidential race. Not official yet, but both of those candidates look like they are on the path to make that announcement and to get into the race. Of course, everybody, all eyes still on Ron DeSantis to see when or what he says when he says it. So things really starting to heat up. We talked about whether Donald Trump would start attacking Nikki Haley or Tim Scott like he has other candidates in the past. Interestingly, this week, in response to those two candidates basically, it coming out that it looks like they're going to be running, he didn't go after either one of them, but Trump did fire new shots, a new round of shots at Ron DeSantis on Truth Social, saying, quote, "The real Ron is a rhino globalist who closed quickly down Florida." Is he Yoda? Who closed quickly down Florida. Who closed quickly down Florida. Even its beaches. Loved the vaccines and wasting big money on testing. How quickly people forget. The newest attack from Trump follows a barrage of blistering comments from the former president made last weekend during the first major campaign swing of his 2024 campaign, saying, quote, "If he runs, that's fine." Talking about Ron DeSantis, of course. Quote, "If he runs, that's fine. I'm way up in the polls. He's going to have to do what he wants to do, but he may run. I do think it would be a great act of disloyalty because, I got him in. He had no chance. His political life was over if it wasn't for me." He also stated that there were other Republican governors that did not close their states during COVID, and Florida was closed for a long period of time, and that DeSantis is trying to rewrite history. So interesting that this news comes out about Nikki Haley and Tim Scott possibly getting in this race still, but the former president's focus seems to still be squarely on Ron DeSantis. What do you make of this as we get closer and closer to seeing how this field is actually going to shape up?
I realize we're still 2 years out, and unfortunately, it gives Trump plenty of time for unforced errors. And this feels like an unforced error to me. I don't know why he's doing this with DeSantis. I like Tim Scott a lot, personally, just from my own viewpoint. I'm a big Tim Scott fan. Nikki Haley, not so much. I used to really like Nikki, but I would put Nikki in that category of being a rhino and someone who's from the country club set. And she did a good job as governor, and she was UN ambassador. A quality gal, but from my perspective, she is not MAGA. She's rhino.
That's going to be my new description of you, Katie. A real quality gal.
I'm a real quality gal. I like that. It's very classy.
Stell, do you think that I can't think of anybody that has run against Donald Trump in the primaries or anything, and it's a very small sample size, but I can't think of anybody that was a serious contender against him that he didn't assign a name to and attack on a personal level. Do you expect him to do that to Nikki Haley and Tim Scott when they officially get in this race? And could that backfire on the president? Or is this who he is and his people will accept him no matter what?
That's a good question. And I'll be honest with you, I think in Tim Scott's case, I'm thinking maybe not, because I think he really likes Tim Scott. I hope he doesn't go down that road with Tim. But I could see some nicknames with Nikki Haley and some stuff coming up in the next few months or so. I think he did make a comment to Nikki, I think it was a few weeks ago, regarding getting into the race. And he made a kind comment of saying, hey, if that's what you want to do, follow your heart. If you want to get into the race, that's fine. And I thought, okay, well, that's kind of a mature way to handle it. And let's see if it stays that way. So I'll go with hopefully in both cases he doesn't do some more unforced errors, but I still don't get why he's going after DeSantis. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah. Because why? Because it's too early? Because he's not even in the race yet? Or because Ron DeSantis is such a popular figure in amongst conservatives that it's just a bad look for the president? Former president.
I agree with you as far as it's a bad look. To me, it's more unforced errors, to give it a tennis analogy. I don't get why he insists on doing this, and we're still 2 years out.
But still, I know that you're someone that, like you just said, Nikki Haley isn't MAGA, she's Rhino. Is it appealing to you whenever you see, I'm not necessarily talking about Trump and the name calling, but is it appealing to you to see someone that's a little bit more aggressive like Trump? And if he weren't aggressive and he wasn't someone that like had his own way, his own style of communication, would that be something that you would say is too relaxed for Trump, like too low energy Jeb? Would it be something like that if you saw him kind of take it down a notch? Or would you be like, this is interesting. This is a new approach from Trump that I hadn't seen before?
I would agree that it's been a new approach here over the past few months. But now, as Tony mentioned, you're seeing little comments show up again, and I'm very hesitant on where he's going with this kind of stuff, because I think for those of us who really support Trump, we really like DeSantis too. So for him to be doing this with Ron is something that really makes me scratch my head. Why not have the guy on board with you? Why do you keep fighting against him? Why do you keep making these snide remarks?
Or at least wait till he's in the race. I mean, it's so clear that he's living, Ron DeSantis is living rent-free in the head of the former president, because he's not even officially in the race yet, and he just feels like he has to go out of his way to attack him. One more story here while we're talking to Stell before we get the weekend forecast from Steve Templeton. Here's one of those stories, and Stell, we did a lot of these when you were with me when Katie was out. Stories that when I read it, I was like, man, this seems like it should be something that more people would want to know about, but they just don't get covered because of all the other sensational stories of the week. On Wednesday afternoon, 205 Democrats, nearly everyone in the House of Representatives, voted against a Republican bill requiring federal agencies to end their COVID-era telework policies and force federal workers to return to their offices. The federal government is still under COVID emergency policy and actions, working from home, doing telemeetings and Zoom meetings, while the rest of that is, I don't think many people realize that. I think most people think that the world has moved on, and they haven't moved on Capitol Hill. 205 Democrats voted against the Stopping Home Office Work's Unproductive Problems Act. What a name. Stopping Home Office Work's Unproductive Problems Act, or the Show Up Act.
Wow.
And just 3 Democrats voted for it. The bill, which passed the House 221 to 206, would require federal agencies to return to the telework policies that were in place before the pandemic hit, and also require them to conduct an assessment on how nearly 3 years of telework affected the government's productivity. Republicans insinuate, and I think very accurately, that this has hurt government productivity, because we all saw how it hurt every piece of productivity, not being in the office and kids not being in schools. The Democrats say the exact opposite. They say the government is more efficient under the COVID emergency policies, which is absolutely ridiculous. This bill is not going to pass because it's not going to pass the Senate, so they're going to stay there. But the bigger story to me, Stell, is the fact that we forget sometimes, because we're living our own lives, the government is still acting like we are in the middle of the COVID pandemic and don't understand what's going on and don't have the data and don't have the information that it's very safe to go back to work. It's ridiculous, is it not?
It is. It's very bizarre. You know, we have some friends who live in Alexandria, Virginia. One of the guys works in D.C., and he's commented that if you go into the city, there are still so many businesses that have closed, and I'm sure some of them would love to reopen, but they're still closed in D.C. Here we are 3 years out. How are these businesses going to actually reopen? I'm guessing that most of them have probably closed. The small restaurants, the small places that have been working to take care of all of the people that are employed by the government in D.C. I don't understand where the Democrats are coming up with this illogical stance that they have. The thing has been over, and on top of it, we were lied to from almost the beginning. Mm-hmm. You know, I was on board at the beginning, And after about a month, my wife and I realized there's something wrong here. Something's going on.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we've had issues with the way the government's handled all of this. But to think that they're still doing this, I agree with you. It's nuts.
You know why, Stel?
It's nuts.
Because you followed the science, like they told us to. We followed the science. We watched the data come in. We learned about what this virus was all about and how to protect ourselves and our families from it, and we made our own decisions, and we moved on with our life. We did exactly what you're supposed to do. We followed the science. But the Democrats in the Capitol refuse to do so, and they're literally living their lives every day like it's still, early 2020, and we don't understand this outbreak of this virus. That is the great Stel Pontiga. Stel, thank you so much for putting a little overtime with us this Friday afternoon. Great to talk with you, my friend. Of course, you can hear Stel every weekday morning as part of the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here at News Talk STL. Have a great weekend, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. It was a blast. Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, we are going to get that all-important weekend forecast from Steve Templeton in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I'm looking at the blue sky, smelling it so sweet. My pretty little...
What happens next?
Classified documents were discovered
At the Penn Biden Center. Happens right here.
when he was talking about former President Trump.
I don't want anyone to be that irresponsible.
We need to investigate the Bidens.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years, featuring exclusive products, unbeatable prices, and expert installation. You can choose from a wide variety of flooring options, including carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, plus many other options. And you'll gain a peace of mind knowing that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home online. Check out everything Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Hi, Susie Moore here. American culture is at a crossroads. My friend and coworker at Red State, Kira Davis, has written a new book called Drawing Lines: Why Conservatives Must Begin to Battle Fiercely in the Arena of Ideas. She challenges conservative Americans to stop retreating from culture and helps you to think critically through the pressing cultural issues of our day and offers practical advice and solutions. It's time for conservatives to make themselves uncomfortable and get engaged, get inspired, get moving, and get winning. Pick up a copy of Kira's new book, Drawing Lines, available at Amazon, faithfultexts.com, or wherever books are sold.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson here. Everybody here at News Talk STL is incredibly grateful for the growth of our business during our first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Clear Path Wealth Management, STL Fence Works, and Michael's Flooring that have all become advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com. Thanks for listening to News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. It's a Friday afternoon, and that means just before 3 o'clock, and that means it is time to talk to our friend Steve Templeton, Chief Meteorologist over at Channel 4, and get the all-important weekend forecast. Steve, as usual, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. How's it going?
My pleasure. We got a good weekend. It's going pretty good. I mean, it's cold out there now, but we're going to do the little weather whiplash, but it's going to benefit us, and we'll get a temperature turnaround this weekend.
Yeah,
so
it's been brutal. It's been brutal, but for once, I guess the St. Louis roller coaster of weather is actually going to benefit us. So, yeah, please tell us what.
And timed out for the weekend, too. That's true. And you're right. You know, it has been brutal. There's been some cold air, that's for sure. But, by the way, we just came off the 9th warmest January on record.
Wow.
So I guess there's not too much to complain about, right?
Yeah.
But we've had some cold days here and there, and today's obviously chilly, not even getting to freezing. And then temperatures tonight are not going to plummet, but they'll kind of hang in the 20s and then start to rise a little bit towards daybreak. But bottom line is it's a near normal chilly night tonight. And then tomorrow we really see the temperature skyrocket after sunrise, up to 51 for the high. Mostly sunny in the morning, but turning mostly cloudy. Some thin high clouds build as the day goes on. We stay dry. It'll be a little breezy, though. So 51, breezy with increasing clouds Saturday. Sunday, sunshine, 38 in the morning, but 57 in the afternoon.
Oh, my gosh.
Upper 50s. This is going to be great. Sunday's a good golf day. Get out and enjoy it. It's going to be a nice week.
That is so great.
Any idea how long it may last? Is this a little snapshot that we better take advantage of while it's here, or could it stick around for a little bit?
Probably sticks around for a few more days, but it's not as dry and not as pretty. So Monday is nice, 57, mostly cloudy. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday all have rain chances. Highs are still in the 50s, but there's more clouds, a chance of rain. So I do think the mild weather lasts, but we're going to get into some wet weather at some point next week. I have 40% chance Tuesday, Wednesday, 60% chance on Thursday.
You know, you mentioned that we had a very warm January, and that actually doesn't surprise me because we've been through a cold snap here over the last few days, and it's been pretty cold over the last few days, especially at night in the teens and things like that. But certainly not like, the sub-freezing weather that could go on for days or even weeks in the middle of the winter. So that actually doesn't surprise me. As you put the binoculars on, I know you never want to get too far ahead of yourself, and I completely understand that. But do you kind of see February maybe playing out the same way as January, or could this be the proverbial other shoe dropping after a fairly mild January?
I don't think it'll be as mild. I don't think we'll be top 10 warmest February. I don't think it'll be that warm. And I think we will, like January, have these big ups and downs where we'll have a few days that are cold, and then we'll warm up above normal, and we'll have a nice stretch, and then all of a sudden we'll get hit with the cold. So I do think it's going to be kind of up and down, and we just need to be prepared for some changes for the month of February. It probably, at the end of the month, evens out to being above normal, but I do think it's going to come like January did with these kind of ups and downs, the ebb and flow of temperatures, going up and down.
Well, 2 days in the 50s, and especially that Sunday in the upper 50s. I'll take that for a weekend forecast in early February every single time.
Did you guys know that this time last year it was snowing? So this is whenever we had to stay at Union Station this time last year.
The big snowstorm.
Yes,
that
it was
right
so
now.
horrible.
Wow, that's
our one big snow last year. You're right. Yeah, good memory.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, Katie and I had to get rooms here at Union Station in the hotel because we were afraid if nobody else could get to the radio station that at least somebody would be here to get something on the air. Yeah,
big
because
snowstorm.
it was it was legit. It was legit that
day.
day.
I actually stayed downtown too. I stayed at the Drury.
There you go.
There you go, Steve.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and then I was up on the morning show the next day. Yeah. That was a big snow, and it just shows you how things can change a year later. Now we're talking about a weekend with 57 and sunshine. But I was going to say it's days like that, especially the Sunday coming up here, that help you get through the winter.
Steve, we gotta wrap this up, but I gotta ask you one last question. That's not your weather balloon up there, is it?
It is not. It is
okay,
not.
All right. I just had to ask.
Across Missouri, right?
It is. Yes. They were spotting it. The National Weather Service apparently spotted it in Kansas City earlier. So
I just got another spot. It's near Columbia, and this evening it's in our area. So
no kidding.
The winds are going to take it by St. Louis.
Wow. Well, hey, thank you. That's breaking news. Really appreciate that update. You get it all. Yeah. No, really appreciate that. And great weekend forecast. So definitely looking forward to that. Steve, thanks as always for your time, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, my friend.
Tony and Katie, my pleasure. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you. How about that? Columbia.
That's terrifying.
And heading right towards St. Louis.
We'll have to see if we can see it when it gets here.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. All right, we got some more stories to do, and of course, we'll have a little Friday fun time to wrap up the week when we get back. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Nate Lucas, our sports guy, doesn't talk about sports. How many times do you think Adam Schiff got beat up on the playground when he was a kid? What a beta male.
Can you imagine having him as your representative in Congress? First of all, you little beta fish, why don't you do your job? Why don't you worry about your own backyard in California, which is turning into a third world country under your leadership? It is the same play every single time with these jackwagons.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
So you heard Steve say it's going to be a great weekend. Maybe if you are thinking about moving, it's a perfect weekend to go look at, do a little house hunting. And if you have been thinking about selling your home, don't wait any longer. Call our friends at the Walner Home Selling Team. And I can say our friends very confidently because they became our friends, as they do with so many of the people that they work with when they helped Christine and I sell our old home and find our new home last year. Things have changed. The market is changing. It's not the same exact situation as when Christine and I went through the process, but it is still a great time to sell your home, and you don't want that window of opportunity to pass you by. So call the Walner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway, St. Louis's #1 home selling team, before the window closes, and let them put their expertise to work for you as we did for us. Call the Walners now if you're thinking about selling your home. 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD for the Walner Home Selling Team.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The Pentagon is rejecting China's claim that a high-altitude flying balloon over the U.S. is gathering weather data. White House correspondent Greg Clugston with that report.
Defense Department officials rejected China's statement that the balloon had blown off course and was not being used for surveillance. The White House says President Biden was first briefed on the balloon on Tuesday and accepted the military's recommendation not to shoot it down. Secretary of State Blinken abruptly canceled a planned trip to Beijing, a decision supported by the White House. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, 2 gang members were arrested earlier today, one after a gun battle in the January massacre of 6 people, including a baby at a Central California home associated with a rival gang. Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreau and said 25-year-old Noah David Beard taken into custody. 35-year-old Angel Uriarte was wounded in the shootout with federal agents, but is expected to survive. President Biden heading to Philadelphia today to promote lead pipe replacement, and he'll also address a National Democratic Party meeting. Looks like Starbucks' bottom line could use a big slug of caffeine.
The coffee giant missed its sales target in its fiscal first quarter. It's blamed on COVID restrictions in China, as well as lower consumer demand in other markets. Starbucks fell short of Wall Street's forecast for same-store sales, and while its revenue rose 8%, hitting a record $8.7 billion, that too missed analysts' expectations. Rich Thomason reporting.
Stocks finishing lower. The Dow was off 128 points. The Nasdaq down 193. Breaking news at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month.
SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at ReliefFactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com. Be the next success story.
European Union officials holding talks in Kyiv with Ukrainian President Zelensky in a show of support.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Charles Michel, as well as 15 European commissioners, are in the Ukrainian capital for what they describe as a summit meeting. The last such get-together was held there in October 2021, a few months before the war started. EU assistance for Ukraine has reached around $55 billion since the fighting started, providing Ukraine with financial and humanitarian aid, among other things. The bloc also plans to adopt a 10th package of sanctions against Russia in the coming weeks. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The bodies of 8 migrants recovered by Italy's Coast Guard during an overnight operation that also rescued 42 survivors in the central Mediterranean. They perished from hypothermia. Breaking news at townhall.com. Traffic deaths are near historic highs.
More than 40,000 people a year die in car accidents. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg calls it a crisis, comparing it to the number of people killed by guns every year. And he worries that we're getting used to it. So now the DOT's call to action is urging public and private sector groups to get involved. Uber and Lyft are in, so are Honda and 3M. They're pledging millions to help. Uber and Lyft are focused on keeping drunk drivers off the roads. 3M helping to make road signs and lane markings more visible. Honda pledging millions to improve teen driver safety. I'm Rita Foley.
Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare in Northern Florida canceling surgeries after a security problem with information technology. The issue began affecting its systems late Thursday night, and the hospital has now shut down its IT network. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
Prior to an election, they kept it secret.
News, analysis, opinion.
This is why there's such hypocrisy behind the Bidens once again.
Limousine liberals are all hypocrites.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your first alert forecast. Sunny skies this afternoon, but it's going to be cold. The high only 27. Tonight, mostly clear. We drop to 22, and we'll get a big warm up on Saturday. It's going to be partly cloudy and breezy, but the afternoon high 50 degrees. And for Sunday, sunny skies with a high of 56. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
So you guys have heard me talk about how much Zero Res has saved the Colombo house. We used them. I'm telling you what, even when we were moving and we were in the rental house for just a few months, we had Zero Res come to the rental house. We cannot go more than just a few months without having them out at the house because we have kids and we have pets and, you know, we have carpets and furniture and things get dirty and we want them to get clean. And so Zero Res has bailed out the Colombo family many, many times. And with Zero Res, the great thing is it's basically any surface. Carpets, obviously, but furniture, upholstery, tile, they can do it all. And right now, with it being February, and February being the month of love, they are offering you the opportunity to show some love to your carpet, which is so important because people don't realize that not only is your carpet such a huge investment in your home, it's also the largest air filter in your home. So when it is dirty and if it hasn't been professionally cleaned recently, it has bacteria and dander and germs, and all of that is just getting recycled over and over and over again in the air that you and your family breathe every single day. So Zero Res is there to help right now with the Colombo Special for the month of February. When you book your cleaning, you have to mention the Colombo Special, and they will take care of you with 3 rooms, carpet cleaning in 3 rooms, starting at just $119. Plus, they will do a hallway for free as part of the Colombo Special. And if you would like them to, they'll take $75 off an air duct cleaning. All as part of the Colombo Special in the month of February, so you can show your carpet a little bit of love, especially if it's not something that you have done recently. So call and book now to take advantage of the February Colombo Special. Call them at 314-474-2020. That's 314-474-2020, or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward or backwards. It spells the same. ZeroRes.
Even we don't know what he's going to do next.
Certainly includes Spotify. So this disclaimer.
Did you say Spotify?
Spotify, yeah. Spotify.
What's the conversation like, Ken, between Psaki and the president?
But I feel badly also about the fistulates that are taking place in Eastern Congo.
Spotify.
Fit for Selly.
Are an endangered species. The fistulates, the rare fistulates, you can see that on National Geographic. I'm sorry, guys.
Live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Spotify.
Puts my heart and soul in the air. My mind and mind exists to please you. Whenever you're down, I'll be there to help you smile. When you need satisfaction, I'll go the extra mile. I'll do all this and more. Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. One more segment for Katie and I here before we hand things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show at 3:30. This is when we typically lighten things up and kind of end the week on a lighter, more funny note with a little Friday fun time, and we will do that. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Want to remind you that you never have to miss anything that happens here on the Colombo and Katie show. All you have to do is subscribe to our podcast. And you know what, Katie? I do this. I talk about the podcast all the time. But you're the one who is on the front lines every day, digitally, putting up these podcasts and managing our social media channels like the new Colombo and Katie YouTube channel. All of the shows here at News Talk STL, we all have YouTube channels that you can watch the shows on every single day. And you can also watch the shows on the News Talk STL Facebook page and the Rumble page. And subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Colombo and Katie Show, and we'll pop up on all the major podcast platforms and subscribe so you never miss any show. But it's truly, there's a lot of options if you're looking to get the content here from News Talk STL.
So many. And there's a lot of places that you can go now to be able to listen to our podcast, to stream us. We are basically available anywhere that if you have a phone, you are able to use that phone and listen to us, whether that be streaming or live streaming or our podcast. It's absolutely incredible. I am a Spotify user. That is my number one go-to. And that is how I listen to all of our other shows is through Spotify. I know a lot of people are Apple Podcast people, Google, Amazon, the whole bit. Anything that you use that is your favorite platform, you can listen to us on for our podcast. And then if you'd like to, you can also comment on our stream. We'd love to have you there.
Yes.
Facebook.com, YouTube, Rumble. We are always engaged. We're always interacting with one another. It's a little community on there as well. So please feel free to comment and share and join us on our live stream. We're open communication, open line everywhere. It's great.
And I hear from people all the time how much they appreciate being able to go back to the YouTube channel or the Rumbo channel or the Facebook page if they missed an interview or they just want to hear something again. And they say the same thing about the podcast. You know, we put this show out as a podcast shortly after we get off the air every day, as does every show here at News Talk STL. And it's just a great way to make sure that you never miss any of the great conversations that we have. Also, want to remind you that tonight, it's the weekend, baby, and we are kicking it off in style tonight at the, I almost said all new, the brand new Westport Playhouse. The Westport Playhouse is not brand new, but it is newly reopened. A great venue there at Westport Plaza. The Westport Playhouse has just been reopened after being dark for a few years. Lenny Mink, who is a good friend of the show's, was on with us earlier this week. It was he and his team that bought and renovated Westport Playhouse. They got a lot of exciting things happening out there. And tonight and tomorrow night, our friends with the Retro Nerds are playing a tribute to Sting and Peter Gabriel. And I am your host for both nights. So I will be there tonight and tomorrow. I hope you will be there tonight and tomorrow. I hope if you are there, you say hello, stop and say hello, because that would just be absolutely awesome. But we just got that weekend forecast from Steve Templeton. It looks like it's going to be an awesome weekend weather-wise, and you can have an awesome time with us. Support local live music and have a great time with us tonight at Westport Playhouse as the Retro Nerds present the music of Sting and Peter Gabriel. I absolutely can't wait. Hope to see you there. WestportPlay.com. WestportPlay.com. If you want to buy your tickets, you can also buy your tickets at the door, although they are very close to selling out, so you might not want to wait that long. But, yeah, WestportPlay.com if you want to get more information and buy your tickets, and I hope to see everybody out there.
That is going to be such a fun show.
It is going to be...
Jason's so great.
It is going to be
band.
Absolutely so much fun. Before we dive into the Friday fun time, wanted to go over some poll numbers, brand new poll numbers. You know, the State of the Union kind of snuck up on us. State of the Union is this Tuesday night.
Wow.
Can't wait
Holy
to
moly.
hear this man speak for what could be 2 hours.
Exactly, for a long period of time.
And see if he's able to stay on, if he's able to stay awake.
How did he do last year? I can't remember.
It was, well, remember last year was the big, didn't it get drawn way out? Wasn't it extremely late last year? Wasn't it in the month of March?
I think so. I think you're right. But that's how forgettable it must have been, because I cannot remember what he did last year. I think I remember being pleasantly surprised.
But just because he
could form a sentence.
Because he was with it for
and
the whole time?
And it was late because, you know what? It was late in March, and I remember everybody's big hubbub was, how is he going to be able to stay up that late and speak for 2 hours?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he did it, not well, but he was able to do it.
Mm-hmm. I believe it's been the same joke, knock, criticism against Joe Biden since he took office about his mental faculties and him being with it or not with it. So this is not new with him. I personally very much believe that it has gotten worse, that it's not just stayed the same, but the President Biden that gave the speech last year, as compromised as he may or may not have been, I believe is not the same President Biden that will be speaking on Tuesday night. I think he's getting worse. Do you agree with that, or do you think he's just been the same sort of...
No, I definitely believe the wear and tear of the office has rubbed off on him. I think in that first year, you can get away with being, not saying that Joe Biden can get away with anything. There is no way you cannot recognize what is going on with him mentally and physically. That is not a mean criticism. That is just what it is. There is no way you can say that man's age is not playing a part into his forgetfulness and his stumbling and bumbling. But besides that point, I think now that we're leading into, we're leading into the heavier years of him being the president, and that too wears on a human being. I mean, we saw it with Obama, dramatically saw it with Obama. Trump, not so much, but Biden, it freaks me out a little bit to think that at the beginning of his presidency, we were like, yikes, this guy is really struggling. And now we're here 2 years later, and it's like 2 years, almost 3 years, almost 3 years later.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years, right? Okay. And to think we're in the middle of this thing, and how much more can he possibly take? Because that is the hardest job in the entire world. I mean, there is no way that he is getting better, to answer your question.
It's 2
It is
years.
only getting worse.
He took office in January. He was elected in 2020. He took office in January of 2021. So it's been a year and a month, or 2 years and 1 month. And doesn't it feel like it's been an eternity?
It feels like
Doesn't
it's
it
been
seem like
forever.
ancient history when Donald Trump was president?
It feels like it has been forever.
Now, take that. It feels like he's been in office forever. He, by all accounts, is going to run for re-election, and he beat Donald Trump once, so who knows? we feel like we've been dealing with Joe Biden, and we feel like we just can't understand how he can even make it another month, let alone till the end of his term. But the reality is there's a good chance that Joe Biden is just a quarter, 1/4 of the way done.
Yeah.
Not even not even close to if he gets reelected, he's only 2 years into 8 years. That is wild to me. When I think about how long these 2 years have been, to think that we
could be going in for a long haul.
Yeah, that this is we're literally just getting started. That is, I can't even picture in my mind, I can't even imagine 5 years from now, when I'm about to be 50 years old, that Joe Biden might still be president of the United States.
I think to what you just said, though, and to your feeling of it's gotten so much worse, I believe he is still going to run again. I know everybody is like, what in the hell are you thinking? But I do believe that Joe Biden's ego is big enough for him to run again. However, I think everybody understands around him that cannot be possible because they see what you are saying, Tony.
Yeah, but I don't think they have anybody better. That's
they
the problem.
But they
want to
don't,
win.
But they have people that can at least make sentences.
Well, they can let
Not
him.
Kamala.
They can have him win and then continue to just control him from the background or have somebody ready to go if he goes down. I still feel like they don't have a person that can win.
But his
so he's almost for sure
frailty. His frailty is showing massively.
Oh, I know. All right. So sorry to scare you with that. Let's lighten the mood here with a little Friday fun time before we turn things over to Tim Jones.
Oh my God, it's already
and Chris
3:20.
Yeah. Here's a story that kind of bridges the gap between Friday Fun Time and a real story. Get this. An elderly suburban high school cafeteria worker may seem harmless, but some are capable of high-stakes thievery. This happened in Illinois. So just our neighbors in Illinois, up in a suburb near Chicago, a 66-year-old cafeteria lady who was the food service director at a school district in Illinois was arrested for stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings from the school district.
Oh my gosh.
She'd been working at the school district for at least a decade, but during the pandemic, she started over-ordering. She is the food service director for this school district in Illinois, up near Chicago. During the pandemic, she started over-ordering chicken and picking it up herself in a school district cargo van, and she wasn't taking the extra chicken to the school for the kids.
She was like, riding dirty.
She was taking it home. Over the past couple of years, she stole a lot of chicken and ended up being caught because she overlooked one thing. She was ordering massive amounts of chicken wings, but the school doesn't serve chicken wings to the students because they contain bones. So somebody finally looked at her purchase orders and saw that when she was buying the food for the school district, for the cafeterias, she was buying chicken wings from a food distributor, and they don't serve chicken wings at any of the schools.
That is
so she got caught, and then they looked into it, and they found out that she has, over the course of the last several years, stolen $1.5 million worth of chicken wings.
But I gotta give it to the lady. There is some strategy that went on to get the chicken wings.
Her name is Vera.
We got the Vera. Honey, I do give it to you because there was some strategy going into making that chicken wing sale possible.
That is wild.
And you did it, honey. And I mean, it's stealing.
She's been eating free chicken wings for 10 years, I bet.
laughing herself back home when she got a pile of chicken wings.
That's a dumb mistake, though. That is a dumb mistake to be ordering food that's not served in the cafeterias.
So
she probably could have kept getting away with it if she just kept ordering.
That's what.
Ribicus or whatever they eat. That was a big one for us. I don't know if that still is. I love Ribicus.
Wait, what is ribicue?
Basically a McRib.
A McRib.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically that. It's like a barbecue pork sandwich.
That sounds delicious.
It was.
I've never had a McRib.
I don't know where that voice just came from. I don't know. That shows you the depth
You really
of my
loved
emotion.
it.
I loved high school lunches. I loved high school lunches.
I never ever
Loved
bought. I always brought my lunch. I
Oh.
never bought food ever.
I loved it. I loved the pizza. I loved the ribicues. I loved the fiestadas.
You know,
I loved the French fries.
the upgrade from middle school to high school, the lunch situation was magnificent.
The rectangle pepperoni
Pizza.
pizza
Oh, man.
with the pepperoni bits. Oh, come on. That is so freaking good.
You have an exquisite palate.
Everybody's mad at China because of the balloon, of course, and TikTok has also been under fire again here recently, and TikTok is up to it again. Guess what the latest TikTok trend is? There's been some really dumb, dangerous ones over the years.
Is this a dangerous one? I feel
Yes.
like, okay, I don't know, but I feel like I heard it somewhere.
So you and your friends get together, and you turn on the TikTok, and everybody takes tranquilizers, and you see who can stay awake the longest.
I don't know where I heard this story, but maybe I read it. What tranquilizers? What are
Kids
you
have been
talking about?
hospitalized because they're like trying to like take big doses of this.
Is tranquil?
So they have to pass it, so they pass out, but they see who can stay awake.
This is not like melatonin or like NyQuil, or is it? Like what is?
I imagine it's like it's tranquilizers.
My
it's
God.
like dangerous.
How?
Like dangerous prescription medicine.
That is so scary.
Getting their hands on.
How do they get their hands on something like that? That is so. Do you remember? Now, we didn't have TikTok, you and I, growing up, but remember whenever that pass out game happened? Did that hit you? Was that something you guys did? I never did it, but the pass out game was a huge thing.
There was a
in middle school.
There was just. I didn't get a chance to talk about it on the air, but just the one before this, before the tranquilizer challenge. There was a TikTok challenge that had something to do with choking people,
and
a girl died,
Yes.
like in Argentina, doing it.
I'll never.
It was
forget.
like I don't remember the name of it, but it was the something challenge, but it had to do with choking.
God, that is so terrifying.
And passing out. And
oh my God,
yeah,
no, thank you.
It was another dumb.
Kids are so stupid.
TikTok challenge.
I mean, so stupid.
China's got TikTok. They got the balloon.
What else?
Running the
they had
show
a pandemic.
Right now. They're just running the show.
What else?
Man. All right, we have got to hand things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Don't forget to subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast if you haven't already, so you never miss anything that happens here on the show. And please, if you're looking for something to do tonight, looking for a great time, support local live music and join me out at the Westport Playhouse for the Retro Nerd Show. That is a tribute to Sting and Peter Gabriel. The Retro Nerds present the music of Sting and Peter Gabriel tonight and tomorrow night at Westport Playhouse. You can get tickets and information at westportplay.com. Or just get them at the door. But get them soon because tickets for both nights are just about gone. I hope to see you out there at Westport Playhouse tonight. If you see me, please say hi. I am looking forward to a very fun night tonight and tomorrow night. And, of course, Colombo and Katie will be back on Monday at 2 o'clock. All right, Tim Jones and Chris Arps coming in next. They'll take you through the rest of your Friday afternoon and deliver you safely to the weekend. Thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You do listen anytime. It happens
Anywhere.
Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news
With the News Talk STL app.
Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go.
Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store.
Or at newstalkstl.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Green pie in the sky, AOC still insists gas stoves are harmful to the environment, and she said they could also hurt your brain. She has one in her house. That might explain things there. Now, over in the UK, they're having trouble with folks who are using wood-burning stoves to stay warm because it's cold. Their households have seen a 60% rise in electricity prices, a 150% spike in the price of natural gas. So naturally, go back to where you originally started. Burn wood in those wood stoves. Well, now they're saying they don't meet environmental needs and requirements at this point. So they're beginning to cause and impose fines. If you're spotted the first time burning wood in your chimney, a $214 fine. You do it again, it may be $366.